So, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining this webinar. So, I would like to first thank you, Lynn, Andrei, and Wim, who accepted to explain you what has changed in the IHE Radiology domain since last spring. Maybe first, maybe next, Lynn, I would like to remind you that the registration to the IHE-Europe Connectathon is still ongoing until tomorrow. We are still looking for monitors as well. You have all the links to access the documentation and the registration form, application form on IHE-Europe website. So today we have a good amount of systems. Not all of them are registered in Gazelle yet, but that's still something you can do. And if you have a login, you can have a look to what will be tested there. And I guess by the end of the week, we will also publish a list of all the testable profiles. We will make it public. So, Andrei, I think you're starting the presentation.
Did you want to talk about the three-step thing on the slide?
The three-step process. So, if you are not aware, so this year, the administrative registration is not performed in Gazelle, but in ClickUp. So you will first have to register in ClickUp. So that's a simple form to fill in, so you can receive your contract by email, and then you can register your system in Gazelle. We just move the administrative workflow outside of Gazelle, but for the remaining, everything remains the same. So you will still have to add your system in Gazelle to list all the profile actors you want to test there, and all the testing will be performed in Gazelle for sure.
So perhaps before we move on from you, Angel, do you just want to introduce yourself in case there are people who don't recognize your voice? We'll do a quick round of introductions, and then Andrei can walk through the agenda.
Yes, sorry. So I'm Angel Berger. I'm the technical manager for the IHE-Europe Connectathon. So I'm in charge of managing all the technical aspect of the event.
Andrei? Well, Andrei unmutes himself. I'll introduce myself. My name's Lynn Felhofer. My role is technical project manager for IHE Radiology, and I work with the committee during the profile development process, and my primary responsibility is translating the requirements in the documentation and the use cases into tests that you will perform during the Connectathon. So I'll be your primary contact for the testing aspects.
Andrei Leontiev, Visage Imaging. I'm a co-chair of the IHE Radiology Technical Committee.
And Wim Corbijn from Philips Healthcare, and I'm the other co-chair of the Technical Committee. And within Philips, interoperability architect, so looking at really using the standard in the products.
So I'll just do a quick rundown of the agenda, and then Wim and Andrei can walk us through the introduction to the newer items. So we'll talk about what radiology has been working on lately. We'll spend a few minutes talking about change proposals that affect existing long-established profiles, and then I will give you a peek into some of the testing considerations and an outreach to first-time Connectathon participants. We will end with a Q&A. If you have questions, you can put them in the chat or wait till the Q&A session when we'll do a roundtable for anything you might need to do. So I think I'll just
go through all these whole thing.
Yeah.
I'll take from here. As we continue, you could click probably a few more times, Lynn, just to finalize that there will be one more line.
Oh, there is that it? Okay.
Yeah, just keep going. There will be one line on top.
There we go.
Yeah, thank you. As everyone knows, IHE Radiology was essentially a starting point of IHE process more than 20 years ago. We started looking at the integration in healthcare in terms of making the systems work and talk to each other between back then HIS, RIS modalities and PACS, which with the times formed into slightly different product categories, but some of them could still be recognized. And a number of profiles have been developed in the course of the years, pretty much following the changes in the environment and technologies in the healthcare landscape, where from disparate PACS, the new items were coming in new product categories such as vendor neutral archives, and then progression of the healthcare into the enterprise imaging, so essentially moving imaging from purely radiology aspect to cover other imaging based clinical categories. And of course, with the recent advent of artificial intelligence, we're also looking at a number of aspects that IHE could contribute in improving inclusion of AI into the workflows in imaging. If we look at the most recent introductions of profiles, the other big category that radiology is now looking at is the aspect of diagnostic imaging, how the diagnostic imaging reports could be created, populated, how their content could be managed, how different applications could collaborate in producing the standardized, well-structured and codified diagnostic report. Those are several profiles that radiology have been working on in recent years. Next slide. So starting with what is most recent, and I would like to emphasize the fact that these two profiles are still being in development. They're being developed by the technical committee in the course of this current 2023-2024 development cycle. We're looking at two profiles. One of them, the profile that standardizes storage, query, and retrieval of reject node structure report objects. And those are intended for managing quality of image acquisition and providing the solid basis for tracking this information and helping in subsequent analysis of that. So the profile is called Reject Analysis and Monitoring, and we expect it to be available for public comment in March, so potentially in the next couple of weeks. The other, and much bigger effort is the imaging diagnostic report profile that we expect to issue for public comment in April. That is the much larger profile, which takes on the definition of encoding of imaging-based reports not only for radiology, but also for a number of other specialties, using the fully FHIR-based encoding of report content and common imaging report sections. This is a fairly new area for IHE Radiology to look at, but given some of the work we've done before, this appears to be a necessary continuation of set of profiles covering the diagnostic reporting workflow and content. Next slide. So for profiles that could be tested at the Connectathon are the most recent introductions of 2023, as well as the previous 2021 profiles, which I think are still quite valuable, especially if taken together for different users. The newer introductions are prioritization of work lists for reporting. That's a profile that defines how different actors could participate in building the reading work lists, setting up prioritization of items on the work list, but more importantly, how different actors could contribute in defining and reprioritization of those work lists. The intent here is making sure that the interpreting physicians is always focusing on on the highest priority items on their work list, and that is a quite significant demand in the market today. The other profile deals with multiple applications sharing information for building the diagnostic report. This profile, called Integrated Reporting Applications, provides the foundation in the framework for sharing the context and content of the reports. So, from this perspective, there is an application which is driving the workflow, which establishes the context, and other applications can subscribe and follow that context. As an example, a work list application may establish a context of the particular diagnostic imaging exam, and imaging viewer, AI tools, reporting application, all will subscribe to that context and follow, establishing the same context within their own confines. More importantly, the profile defines how these applications could contribute the content to the report. So with that, image display application may contribute the results of measurements. The AI application may contribute the findings, results of AI inference processes. The other applications may contribute other portions of the report. Reporting application could contribute the narrative which has been dictated by the radiologist. And once again, a couple of more profiles, staying a little bit on the reporting side. The earlier defined interactive multimedia report profile is also FHIR-based, and it allows the defines how the components related to interactive multimedia content could be recorded, could be encoded and communicated and presented. So this profile, again, is a building stone in creating the full picture. Our intent with the imaging diagnostic report profile would be that the full encoding concept for the diagnostic report that will include what was first introduced by the multimedia profile would be completing the picture. And the other profile, which is more on the imaging technological processes level, is a contrast administration management profile, which is well defined and helps record and distribute contrast agent administration details for imaging and image-guided procedures, introducing the creators of that information, but also the systems that provide subsequent storage, analysis, and management of those processes. Next slide. We're going to go quickly through these slides because they're just introducing the a number of actors that participate in different profiles. So in the newer profiles, we'll have, for example, in the reporting applications profile, you would have a number of different applications, a hub system that shares context and manages the content, and all the transactions that define these communications. For the report, for the multimedia report, we have a number of profile actors which are participating together. We switch further. Next slide, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, okay. So in the next, I'm putting together a couple more slides. Yeah, thank you. AI results is the older profile which have been, I believe, tested at the Connectathons. It was created earlier, but I'm mentioning here just in terms of highlighting the fact that the AI results are becoming a indispensable part of workflow and the content of diagnostic reports. So these results could be used for contributing into, for example, prioritization of the work lists, availability and severity of findings of the AI could be accepted in defined by prioritizer in the prioritization of work list profile to modify priority of particular items on the work list. Next slide.
Yeah, the only other thing I'll point out here, the reason for the red arrows, and we'll see it in the next slide, is there's been a move in IHE Radiology to incorporate the RESTful DICOM transactions for query and retrieve of imaging and information, and the list of transactions both on the left hand and the right hand side for exchanging looks long, but there's an alternative for both choosing the DIMSI, the traditional DICOM exchange that's been implemented and deployed for many years, as well as the RESTful transactions.
Right. And the other side, or at least another focus, as Lynn just mentioned, was for IHE Radiology continue developing the infrastructure for the web-based exchange of imaging information. So the profiles which have been on the books for a while, such as web-based image capture and web-based image access, are also good profiles to test at this Connectathon. Those are much smaller in scope, but provide the precise definition of different transactions using the DICOM web paradigms versus traditional DICOM DIMSI services-based exchange. One more slide. One more click. There should be, yeah, thank you. The other one, in sort of way, is a proof of continuing focus on that. We also periodically update the older profiles, which have been based on the older technologies or previous days technologies to introduce the RESTful DICOM web based transactions. A very recent addition to the XDSI profile would be introduction of the WAD-ORS retrieval option instead of more traditional ones. This has been approved as an change proposal, and it will be incorporated into the next revision of IHE Radiology Technical Framework. Next slide. These are just links, so if you'll get this presentation, the links are active and pointing you to the information that you can find on the web. One of the things to mention here is that for the profiles which are based on FHIR, such as IRA and IMR profiles, the links point not to more traditional textual PDF-based definition, but for FHIR profiling pages, which have slightly different format, but roughly the same structure as you got used to see in other and older profiles.
Yep. So it's a FHIR implementation guide format, which includes the traditional IG content, including artifacts such as structure definitions, and those kinds of FHIR-based artifacts are now being published by IHE Radiology. I think I take over from here, Andrei. So yep. Andrei highlighted one CP, and we'll take a look at those. IHE Radiology approved 15 change proposals in the last publication cycle. Once they're balloted and approved, they are considered to be final text, and that means they're testable at Connectathons, and changes that we have approved are going to be tested in Trieste. The integration is going to into the technical framework will happen right before Trieste. So until that happens, you can see the CPs, the change proposal text in the Google Drive, and there's a hyperlink here. And again, when Gail publishes these slides, you'll be able to access those CPs directly. I'm just going to highlight 2 or 3 of them that affect implementation and will change a little bit the way we test things and the way we've tested them in the back. We talked about web-based image access for query and retrieve. We have now additional enterprise identity attributes on the query, and we have enterprise identity in the DICOM DIMSI query for identifying the assigning authority for the patient ID, the assigning authority for the accession number, so you can distinguish those identifiers when you're working in a multi-enterprise environment. And those have been added in to the Keto RS transaction. Likewise, we have an additional message pair for the retrieve. So we have the ability to get instances, get image metadata, get the bulk data, and now we have rendered image pair, and I'm actually working on new tests to make sure that the initiator and responder of that retrieve can support those interactions. The query side, the client side gets to choose the types of queries it supports. The responder side, the imaging document source, must support all 4 interactions. This is the XDSI, the cross-enterprise document sharing for imaging CP that Andrei mentioned before. And when the consumer retrieves the images that it wants from the imaging document source, prior to this, it could choose the traditional DIMSI retrieve, and now it has the option to do that RESTful retrieve. We also, that was CP 527. We also did a a nice refactoring of XDSI. It's an older profile that had kind of out-of-date documentation, and we kind of cleaned that up. So the combination of 526 and 527 really adds some nice functionality and better documentation to XDSI. I do want to mention on the behalf of my European colleagues that the that WATO-RS retrieve option, so that restful retrieve of imaging, is being promoted and adopted by this multi-country working group. I'm not an expert here. There's probably European people on this call who are familiar with this initiative, but you'll see that some of the recommendations coming out of that group in late 2023 and early 2024 includes the addition of SOAP-based and restful retrieve of imaging. There's a 12-slide presentation about this, but we are trying to encourage companies who have tested XDSI in the past to add this restful retrieve to their testing in Trieste. If you are in that camp and you just copied your registration from a prior year, which is a common thing to do, you won't get that DICOM WATO-RS option. So you can add it to your system registration, and I'll nudge you to do that even in Zoho, so that we have as much testing of that new option. There is if you're interested in more details about the multi-country working group initiative, their recommendations and their activities, there's a link to the presentation on the right hand of this slide. And I also think that as part of the IHE Experience Day in Trieste, there will be more information about this. So hop on the bandwagon and test REST. Ann Gale mentioned at the beginning of this presentation that what we test in June depends on the profiles and actors that the participants like you sign up to test in this time frame. And if you're a first-time participant, you have to complete this administrative registration, which includes the contracting and stuff. But from my point of view and from Ann Gale's point of view, what we want to know is what the scope of testing, what profiles are going to be testing. And we expect that there will be, and we see actually right now that there's interest in the old favorites. Andrei walked through that timeline, and we've been testing, scheduled workflow.b since 20 years ago, before some of you were in your professional life, and we're going to test it again in Trieste. Every year we've got new products, new versions of old products that want to test, and we see robust testing in both the new and the older profiles. I have that third bullet says comment on the chicken and egg problem. During registration, like now, you can log into Gazelle and look into the menu called Testing Available Partners and see who's testing what. So if you're interested in testing a certain thing, you might want to log in and say, well, who my available partners is. And there's a chicken and egg problem here, which means that some people sit on the sidelines and wait to see who else is testing profile WIA. And while you're waiting on the sidelines, other people are logging in to see who else. And there's people who never think, oh, it's not very interesting because there aren't very many people and everybody's waiting on the sidelines. So what I encourage you to do is, if you have the capability and interest to test either old or new profiles, include those profiles and actors in your registration now. And that means that we will have a view to the maximum interest, and other people will see that you're interested in testing and then are more likely to sign up and test as well. And I think what's going to happen after registration, that first phase of registration closes, and then Gail and the other technical managers look at our registration, we will find where we have gaps and do some outreach to try to fill gaps to make sure that as many profiles as possible are testable. So this process of selecting profiles and actors, if you're a first-time vendor in Connectathon, we're so happy you're with us. It's an amazing event, but this technical registration to take the capabilities in your process and actually map them to those boxes and lines between the boxes that Andrei showed in those profiles, it can be difficult the first time you're doing that. And knowing where to start reading the technical framework documentation to try to understand what the requirements are and how closely your existing implementation matches the technical framework and where you might have to do some development before June. All of that stuff can be a challenge for first-time vendors. I am happy to have a phone call between your technical staff and me, and you can tell me about your product, and I can help point you in the right direction and save you a few hours of paging through documentations to know where you can best take advantage of the testing opportunity in Trieste. And I'm happy to have those conversations. It's one of my favorite things to do. So if you're interested in that, reach out to me and we can set up a time to make sure that you have a successful Connectathon. Right toward the end, Andrei had pointers to radiology technical framework. I like to remind people that we test according to the technical framework, not according to what you already have in your product. It's really important that you dig into the details in the transactions. And here's the pointer to find that documentation. Our contact information is here. All four of us welcome your inquiries, whether you have detailed questions about the profiles. You can reach out to me or the co-chairs and they can point you to the right people. And please contact us. So I will pause right now and we'll see. I don't know if Angel or Weijing has the ability to open up questions and see if there's anything in the chat.
Thank you to you three. No, there's currently nothing in this chat, but whether should you have question, that's your time. We still have 25 minutes, so do not hesitate to ask questions. I don't know, maybe we can give if there's no question or if you are preparing questions in the meantime, maybe I can do a quick summary of where we are.
Did you want to?
With the registration? Yes, maybe I can share my screen. Yeah. Thorsten has a question.
Yes. So, did I understand it correctly? First, thank you very much for the good slides and the information of what should be concentrated to test for. But did I understand correctly that the correction proposal 501 is testable or should be testable in Trieste?
That's correct. So every
Perfect.
change proposal that I highlighted today, like we did 15 change proposals. Some of them are more documentation. They don't affect testing. Yeah. The ones that affect testing I highlighted today, and we will be testing those in Trieste.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
And I'm working on those tests right now. So I would think in a week when you get your test execution page, you'll see those new tests.
Yeah. So especially for the 501 correction proposal, so do you provide special test data so that everyone is able to respond to the enterprise queries?
That one I haven't worked on yet. Let me get back to you. I have to go back and look at, we already do testing approach for enterprise identity for the older transactions, I got to take a look.
So that would be nice if there is a standardized test data set.
Especially for things like assigning authority for a session number, which is not commonly supported. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No, that's a good question. I'll take a note.
Thank you.
Angel, you wanted to show
yes, maybe the testing status, unless we have more questions, or maybe questions will raise when I share the status. There's still few systems missing. So since the registration is made in two parts, we have a few systems that registered and have signed their contract but did not input their system yet in Gazelle. So we expect some more system to join and maybe to make more profile testable. And although we are closing the registration tomorrow, there's a chance that we make an extension that we welcome newcomers. So if
can you show people how you
when
got
to
here?
get there? Yes. So when you are in Gazelle, so just on your home page, here under testing session scope, it is where you will find all the profiles, and for each profile, so all the systems with which actors they implement and which option. So for you, the registration and accepted columns will not show up, obviously, but at least you can see who is registered and how many are registered. So if I focus on radiology now, we have already 8 profiles that we have assessed as testable. So the AIR profile, the evidence documents, key image notes, PDI schedule workflow, WIA, XCAI, and XDSIB. So those ones are safe. We will test them in Trieste. And for a few others, we have a few systems, but maybe not enough to cover all the actors. So I don't know, Lynn, if you want to elaborate, maybe you have a better view of which one we could easily complete, maybe.
So right now, when I identify things as few partners, it means that somebody's interested, but we have some gaps. In the end, some of these profiles may fall away. So for example, the AIWI profile, right now we have only one company and a lot of actors. Unless we get like a huge interest in the last few days, I suspect that one will change status from few partners to dropped. But there are other ones, I can't see the list, but like MAMO, I know that we have a few, it's marked as few partners, but even with the partners that we have 2 imaging modalities, we have an image manager and display. We can test with these partners. It's just kind of a heads up that, we wish we had 3 imaging modalities. We have 2. We will proceed with testing. So it's the final cut on testability will be made. I don't know, Angel. I suppose we're going to have to do a little bit of recruiting after registration.
Yes, maybe
closes.
by mid-March. I think mid-March we should give a final status.
Right. And then
so
there's
give
one.
Us, yes, 2 more weeks to.
And then the other one, the other status I think is decision pending. And right now, decision pending means nobody has signed up for it now, and I think those are likely to be dropped, but we haven't made any drop decisions yet because, registration is not closed.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to, again, encourage you to, if you haven't registered, please register. Registering means select your profiles and actors so other people can see that you're interested. In the end, if we drop some profiles, we can remove those individual entries from your registration. But at least it encourages other people to hop on and test with you as well. Did you want to mention the first timer webinar, Angel?
The first time, yes, the first timer webinar is on March 15th. And the kickoff for the preparatory period will follow up. So it's 2 webinars in a row, but I don't want to repeat twice the same thing. So I've tried to first introduce the whole process to the newcomers, and then focus on what we will do between mid-March and the last week of May. So the links are on Zoho. They are also, I've stopped sharing my screen, but each time I publish a new webinar or material from webinar, I also update the documentation section in Gazelle Test Management. So either you are logged in or not, you can access this section and you can see either the slide deck recording or the link to register to the webinar. So everything is in there. It should be your only place where to find content. You also have access to Moodle if you need more detailed trainings. There's the ones from last year, and yeah. And obviously, I'm posted all the links and invites on Zoho as well.
Okay. Any other questions? We're so grateful for you joining us today. I know everybody here is looking forward to Trieste, and I think, isn't IHE Radiology going to be on site during that week? Andrei, Wim, is that true? Can you talk about that?
That is the planning for now. We agreed that, as you could see in Andrei's explanation, the IDR has one extra round of, or is basically heading one round behind the other profile. And we expect to finalize that indeed in the June timeframe during the Connected-on event. So yes, we expect to be present there as Radiology Technical Committee.
Maybe we can invite people to see how the sausage is made.
In principle, yeah, no.
Would be the
principle,
pasta
yes,
in
Trieste. No, I'm only half kidding. I mean, you know,
yeah.
we welcome it. We welcome You can, Wim, talk about that.
Yeah, no, it's true. We always, I would say, we can always have extra hands. We can always have extra brains, because in the end, it's a common activity to do this. As you saw, I'm from Philips, Andrei from Visus. Most of our participants are from companies. Lynn is one of the exceptions who is hired by RSNA to participate. But it means that we, as total group of vendors, hospitals, universities, in the end, do the definition. And it's always good to have more people joining, extra brains in that sense, with a different view. A lot of you are probably from Europe. My concern currently is that Europe is still not present enough. a lot of our work is based on US laws, US situations, and having a little bit broader view also coming from Europe is I think very welcome. So in that way, yeah, come and have a look if you have the time and see how it's going, and think about if you want to support IHE Radiology in a more structural way also, giving you the capability to take your view as vendor into the definitions, because that is definitely then one of the things that we will get, your view on the content.
We'll work on getting the details of the agenda, the daily agenda, visible to the Connectathon participants. So if you want to swoop in for an hour for a specific topic you're interested in, we can enable. We'll work on getting that done. So
It will be 4 half days, I think.
Yeah.
That's what we now, I think, have requested. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Any more question?
Thank you
No?
for this opportunity to talk to your European audience. We look forward to seeing you soon.